There's been one or two rather foul and I think frankly racist comments, and I've let some of these go through without commenting on them. But I feel that there's too many to completely ignore it. I'm not going to say who left these comments because I think they will probably be a little bit shamefaced even to have this mentioned. But I'm going to read a bit of one. Multiculturalism strikes again. Sunak is Indian and Hindu, but he is not British, so disrespecting the D-Day landings doesn't mean anything to him. It's utter tosh. It's not true. And the point is there were many Indians involved in the war effort and many involved in D-Day, and particularly, for example, people like Sepoy Kemal Ram, who was awarded the Victoria Cross by the King, who fought alongside British troops throughout the war and at D-Day itself. But there were others. There's a really interesting story about a group of an entire battalion who made it all the way from the Punjab to Britain and fought alongside the British at Dunkirk. And they were the 25th Animal Transport Company. And they'd come all the way without weapons. And because there weren't enough weapons to go round, they actually went into the line of fire without weapons. And they were there to provide animal handling skills, particularly helping with horses and things when the cars that were being used by the British soldiers to get to Dunkirk simply ran out of fuel. And these extraordinarily specialized and efficient animal handlers were there to support the British troops. Now, part of the reason that we don't think of so many of the Indian troops in Dunkirk and D-Day is because many of them were there in roles to support rather than directly going up onto the beaches themselves with guns and so on. But they were definitely important. Chaudhry Wali Muhammad, for example, who I think was the leader of this animal brigade, animal transport company, and Maula Dad Khan are particularly singled out for showing what, and I quote, magnificent courage and decision, dedication, protecting his men and the animals without weapons. This is the astonishing thing, and the commitment of these people. So to turn round and to say, oh yeah, Rishi Sunak, Indian, not British, it's insulting to so many people of Indian heritage whose parents, grandparents fought in the war, fought alongside people from London, from Glasgow, from Northern Ireland. Remember, the people from Northern Ireland, for example, were all volunteers. They weren't conscripted in Northern Ireland. It is shocking. I used the term shameful a short while ago, and I got a rebuff from Shelley Lime, who I don't believe exists. I don't believe that's a real person, who attacks me for criticizing Suella Braverman, which I've done quite regularly. I've ridiculed her, and I will continue to ridicule her because of the way that she stood at the dispatch box in the House of Commons, protected by the dispatch box, and screamed abuse at Pakistan and at Albania, and never once thought to apologize, particularly to Albania. Indeed, David Cameron was patching up the mess that she caused on the day that Rishi Sunak called the general election, so he wasn't able to complete his mission. This is shocking. It's shocking because Albania is setting up as an outsourcing plan to help Italy process the huge number of migrants who are coming to its shores. Slightly different plan to the Rwanda plan, a better plan, a plan that's in harmony with the ECHR, a plan that's in harmony with the 1951 Refugee Convention. And we could have been part of that, except that Suella Braverman rebuffed any goodwill that was there. Absolutely, I ridicule her, and I will continue to do so because she's somebody who doesn't understand the nature of the job. She also produced 3 completely useless laws, all of which were an attempt to shore up the stupidity of her own position and the position inherited from Priti Patel. She left office with no legacy at all, except for a legacy of Rwanda, which will achieve nothing. We've already got one person who volunteered to go to Rwanda and has disappeared, and 4 people who we sent to Rwanda from Diego Garcia after they escaped from Sri Lanka, Tamils. And somebody's pointed out, why should we be responsible for their mental health? Because they were refugees. And we sent them to Rwanda as an experiment, I suppose, to see whether or not the Rwanda option worked. It doesn't work because they feel threatened, because they are living in poverty, because they feel they are living in an open prison. And they were interviewed by the BBC. This isn't about whether or not we have a duty to look after them. I think we do. But whether or not Rwanda is behaving in the upright manner that the third of Suella Braverman's laws claim that Rwanda behaves. Rwanda isn't. Rwanda is not living up to the law that Suella Braverman pushed through Parliament. And the Nationality and Borders Act, the Illegal Migration Act, useless and challenged in Northern Ireland. And if challenged in one part of the United Kingdom, challenged again elsewhere. A sensible interview with Keir Starmer would ask Keir Starmer whether or not he intends to repeal those laws. If he doesn't, the fact that he's not going to send anybody to Rwanda doesn't mean very much, because those laws are on the statute book. A serious undertaking to reject the mess that Suella Braverman made is to repeal those laws. And I have no doubt Suella Braverman in real life might be a charming individual, but she was given serious political power, serious political responsibility, and abused it. And the least that I can do, as somebody commenting on modern politics, is to ridicule her and mock her and draw pictures of her surrounded by Dalmatians and pick up on the absurd things that she has said and her failure to master the brief before she goes into committee rooms. I think particularly of the exchange that she had on the 22nd of November with Tim Lawton, where she was unable to explain how a refugee with good reason to claim asylum could get from an unnamed state in Africa to Britain. And she conceded that the only way they could do this was by using small boats and then to claim asylum when they got to the UK. She's absolutely right, but of course her laws then stop that happening. She is personally responsible for so many people being kept in the hotel limbo. So Shelley Lime, I don't accept that there's any shame for mocking Suella Braverman. And she's not the only person I've mocked. I've also mocked Matt Hancock, and I will continue to do so, because the effect of what Matt Hancock left behind is still there. The effect of what Suella Braverman left behind is still there. And neither of them have apologized for what they did, with the power that was gifted to them, with the power and the responsibility that they were given. And what can I say? Public office is a duty and is an honour. And if people do not rise to that honour, they must be pilloried and ridiculed and mocked. Let's lighten the tone with a few words from Frankie Howard. No, mock not! No, missus. Let's get into the stationery cupboard and make something else move. Oh, I've got an HB pencil with a rubber!